All right, so we are live, everybody. Welcome. My name is Kevin Wagstaff, one of the founders of Spectora. Apparently, we're doing interviews all the time now, so I have Chris Cochran with us today. I'll let you introduce yourself, Chris. Tell them where you're from. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Chris Cochran, first off, thanks for doing this interview with me.
Yeah.
I'm a newer inspector, and so I'll have a perspective that I'll get into later in the interview. But Chris Cochran, owner of Cochran Home Inspections, and I've been doing this about a little over a year, about a year and 3 months now. And I live in northern Arkansas, out in rural country in the Ozarks. We'll probably talk more about that as well. I retired from the military a few years back. I know there's a lot of military guys that are in this industry or coming into this industry, and a lot of people ask why, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on that as well. But that's kind of where I'm at this point.
Great. And to give you guys context, Chris was one of the earliest users of Spectora. He took a chance on us early. He was there for the very hard times early on where we were learning stuff and building and growing. Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like, because I'm curious personally what that was like for you.
Well, honestly, it was kind of interesting. I actually started looking for software before I even got into the home inspection industry. I just have a belief that the software you use is almost as important as how you communicate your inspection results actually, I think software is important no matter what business you're in. And software can really set you apart as far as why you're in the business, what information you're relaying, the professionalism of what you're doing. So for me, it came down to basically the top three. I think a lot of this, you see HIP, Home Gauge, and then I saw this Spectora company, and it was a young company, and I said, what is this? Modern software. So that perked my ears up. I went online, did some research of your company, and out of the box, I think what really got me interested into Spectora was that I could basically run my business. You guys don't have a full-on like ISN type suite as far as the business side, but you guys have enough to where a new inspector coming into the business that's looking to set themselves apart, that's looking to run a business, which I'm sure we'll get into, because remember, being a home inspector is inspecting homes, but it's also running a successful business. And so it takes two parts to that. And I'm sure we'll talk about this later as well, but I think the reasons a lot of home inspectors fail is because they don't really get the business side. So anyways, so when I look into Spectora, I said to myself, I can run my business on it. It has a lot of automated features, and it is pretty much out of the box ready to go. I don't have to spend, and of course I learned this later on actually using the software, but I don't have to spend months and months trying to figure out how to use the software. What do I need to do? It came with a lot of basic templates, which by the way have grown a lot. But it really, I think, right from the get-go, I was able to run a successful business from Spectora, and Spectora was a big part of that. So that was why I went with Spectora, was the business side, the automation, and of course the software itself just looked pretty slick. And then of course, as I used it over the past year and it's grown, that has proven itself time and time again. I would say, for me, there was a bit of hesitation because I wasn't making any money at that time. I did have separate income. I do run several businesses, which we'll probably get into a little bit.
Yep.
But, so I took a chance. I said, okay, there's a monthly fee. But then I went back to that old adage, you pay for what you get, or you get for what you pay. Whatever it is,
that's
where we're at with this software. And so I decided to take the leap. I actually, and I think you'll remember this, after my free inspections, back then you had a few more, but after my free inspections, I just went full on paid for the year because I knew that I was going to use this software and I was fully invested in it. And so I took that leap, paid that money, and boy, I haven't regretted it, because I know for a fact that the software itself has been a part of me growing as an inspector in this area.
That's awesome. And we appreciate you saying that. You've been a huge member of the community. We'll give you props more for the way you help people and you jump in the forums and posts. So thank you for that. Let's talk about your early success, because I'm sure, we have 3 live viewers now, Chris. We're doing big things here. So say hi to whoever's watching.
Yeah. Hello.
Because I'm looking at your Google reviews here. You got 25-star reviews in your first year, which is amazing. I've only seen a couple guys with more than that. So let's talk about your early success. So start from the beginning and say, okay, how did you get going and meet those first couple agents or get those first few inspections? And what did you do? What was kind of your shtick? What was...
I had a little bit of an in, if I want to call it that. So after I got out of the military, I was a landlord. Like I said, I owned a couple mobile home parks. And as you know, mobile homes, basically, as soon as you build them, they start falling apart. So we've done a lot of work to rehab those. And then that kind of led into a lot of handyman work. And so once I got into the handyman business, I started, for some reason, just getting punch lists from the agents. And, these are home inspectors going in, finding all these defects. The repair addendum is done up. The realtor then goes out and tries to find a handyman because there's, 15 different items they got to do, and they don't want to get a plumber, they don't want to get an electrician, they don't want to get a gutter guy, they don't want to do all that. They just want to hand it to a competent handyman and say, go, put all this stuff in. So I did a lot of that work. I have limitations, there's certain things I didn't do because I didn't want to kill myself. Like I don't mess with panels and all that stuff, but a lot of things I did, and I enjoyed it. And I learned a ton. When you're a handyman, a lot of people downplay, well, you're just a handyman. But think about it. When a handyman is being called in, generally it's because something has failed and it needs to be repaired. So who's going to know more about where defects happen? The builder that builds the home and then leaves, or the handyman that comes in and is fixing and repairing all the stuff that's falling apart? And I'm not trying to compare the two. Obviously, both sides have knowledge. It's just a different perspective. So for me, I was doing all these handyman jobs. And so I became basically acquaintances and friends with some realtors and brokers. And one of the largest inspectors in my area had retired. And one of the realtor buddies came to me and said, hey, the guy that I use a lot retired. Have you ever thought about being a home inspector? You seem to really get homes. You seem to really have a knack for going in and figuring things out. Take a step back. So as I was going in as a handyman, I look around and I'm saying, what else is going on? And so I found myself looking at homes more deeply than just going in and putting in a GFCI or, fixing a drain leak, a strainer under the sink or whatever. So, and so they came to me and said, hey, you ever thought about it? And that was the catalyst.
So you were recruited. You were recruited into the business.
Basically, yeah, I was. And, I kind of had felt it. And let me take a step back again. So I had done a handyman job for a local inspector who has since become my mentor, great guy. And he missed something, as all inspectors will do. And so I came in and I repaired it, and we started talking, and, he's a home inspector and blah, blah, blah. And so that was probably the first thing I had really heard about home inspections. And then step forward, the realtor came to me. And so then the natural evolution was, I don't want to repair these punch lists. I want to make these punch lists. So, so here we are.
And I love it. And so early on, what were some of those challenges? Okay, you met the first realtor, probably got a few jobs out of that. What was the next evolution? What was the next step from there? How did you grow from there?
The interesting part and this is, I'm sure people who actually watch this video have maybe experienced this if they're in the social world, as far as being on social media. I joined InterNACHI right out of the gate, which is a great association. And, if you go on InterNACHI message boards, you start to really see there's a wide berth of folks that are in the industry. You've got people who've been doing this for 30 years. You've got people who are brand new in the industry. You've got everything in between. You got people who have tons of construction experience. You have people that don't know anything. And so, I think these associations, and I'm not promoting InterNACHI over anything else. I'm just saying the associations provide an outlet to learn, to communicate, to really, get into the business for these new guys like me. I'm still a newer inspector, to get knowledge. And I think knowledge is everything. So I went on the association, but what happened, and I'm saying this to all the other people who would actually watch this interview here, I think the most important thing you can do is not get caught up in the noise of the online community. Understand that you're going to have negative folks, you're going to have positive folks, you're going to have folks that have all kinds of opinions on what you should do. I think for the individual, and I'm talking about me now, when you get into it, you want to just kind of say, what are my goals? What do I want to do? Set those goals down. And then so when you go online and if you're a member of ASHI or you're a member of InterNACHI or any of these associations, you don't let the noise of negativity, opinions get in your way. Stay focused on your goals, on what you want to do. And so I'm leading up to a point of, why does that matter? Well, and this goes along with how you're talking about growth. Online, there is basically a group of people who don't believe in marketing themselves to realtors. They are more, I'm going to do it on my own. I don't need realtors. And that's fine. If that's what your stick is and you're good at it and you've been doing it for a long time, great.
Easy to say when you've been in the business for 20 years also, I'll say, but.
It is. There's a lot of the new inspectors, though. So we have to go out and we have to pound the pavement and we have to get out and get our name out there. What is the quickest way to do that? Start shaking hands and kissing babies, okay? I mean, that is getting out there, meeting the realtors, because let's be honest, just about every industry, in the real estate industry, just about every realtor is going to refer, when that time comes, is going to refer a home inspector. I don't want to get in the weeds too much. I'm kind of, but it's important to say this to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. So every market is different. You got to know your market. For me, I'm up in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm driving 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and I'm talking no street lights. I'm just straight up driving because I have a wide rural area that I hit. Just the other day, I was in my car, which is a Prius. And I was.
I love it, man. We're in Colorado. We love that here. We love that stuff here.
So, hey, you know what? 50 miles a gallon. That's all I got to say about that. So, no, I was on a gravel road. It was 16 miles of gravel road. And I had to go out and do this. So the point I'm getting at is it's rural, and you got to, let me take a step back. I'm getting my thoughts together. I tend to ramble at times. So let's just take a step back to the realtors. You've got to decide what's important for you. In my market, because we are rural, we have a lot of retirees here. This is a big retirement community. So my market has a lot of older folks that are over 55. Some don't have emails. Some don't even have cell phones. So I have a market where a lot of the clients, my mutual clients with the realtors, rely 100% on their realtors. So what their realtor says is gold, and they go to them for everything and rely on them. What does that mean for me? That means my market is, if I don't shake hands and get to know realtors and push for those referrals, I'm not going to eat. So that is the most important part, is know your market, know your clientele that you're dealing with. And in my area, referrals are pretty much, I would say, close to 85 to 90% of my work is from the agents. So I had to get out there and I had to meet these agents. And yes, I had a couple friends who were agents. However, that's not going to keep you. It's not going to keep you busy. Right. And just as a quick side note, our market actually is a saturation for inspectors right now. I mean, we're talking, my market is small, 70 to 150 top end transactions. So it's a small market, and we have 10 plus active inspectors. So we are all fighting for this small pie. And I have just managed to get out there enough and get enough realtors on my side referring me clients that I've been able to stay pretty busy. And so I hope that answers your question. Sorry, I rambled there.
Yeah, no, it does. And that is competitive as hell. So we teach a marketing class every month, and we often preach differentiation. How are you going to be different? How are you going to stand out, especially in a saturated market? So how did you stand out when you met those agents? When you went in and shook hands, what were those conversations like? What was your pitch or UVP? I'm curious, because you're a personable guy. Obviously, you talk well with people. So what was that like, those introductions?
You just said that. You just said the word that I think is most important in this industry. personable. You know, there are great inspectors. I mean, there are inspectors that probably can go in behind my inspections and destroy me, and they would probably be proud of that. I am a new inspector. I learn every day. I don't think you'll ever know everything about a home. I mean, there's an incredible amount of information. So, you know, for me, I had to realize that my weakness was my extensive, deep knowledge into homes. My strength was my personable, affable kind of personality. I can talk to you, I make you laugh, get to know you. If you can go into an office and sit down with a realtor and break down those barriers right off the bat, you'll win a friend and a referral for life. And so for me, that's, I think, been key for my business is, you know, I've done a couple office visits and I've done a couple presentations, and I got up there and, hey, I'm a new inspector and I'm great and wonderful. And then you see the eyes kind of rolling back in their heads and you're like, oh God, here we go. Here's another inspector. And so I honestly stopped doing those. I said, you know what? I'm going to hit people one-on-one. I'm going to sit in front of them. I'm going to shake their hand. I'm going to crack a joke. I'm going to get them laughing. You get people laughing and they'll be, like I said, they'll open up to you. So for me, that's kind of where I went. My angle is get people one-on-one and then sit down and just woo them. And I'm a pretty, in this area, I've been told, and I think there's a lot of inspectors, I'm pretty nitpicky, you know, and there have definitely been deals that have fallen through on my inspections. And, you know, at first it bothered me, but now I don't even care. Like, I don't go into an inspection saying, am I going to kill this deal, or is this deal going to fall through because of my inspection now? I say I'm going to work for the agents that are wanting a good home inspection for their clients, that care about their clients. And if I do 5 home inspections a month because I only have a few realtors that are like that, I'm okay with that. And so I think having that kind of approach and view on things while sitting with the realtors and going around and knowing that there'll be some realtors that use you, may never use you again. As a matter of fact, I have a few of those. So, but, you know, being determined, staying on your game plan, having a number that you want each month, I think is key as far as dealing with realtors and getting referrals. And like I said, in my market, if you don't get referrals, you just don't eat. You know, I've got, and I'll just say this real quick. Spectora has a basic metrics page that just basically breaks out what you've been doing for the month. It's not a deep, in-depth analysis of your business, but it's enough to where you know the money you're bringing in, how many inspections you've done. And so, you know, going on there, I know that I'm getting a certain amount of inspections that I need to get. I'm hitting those numbers. Actually, I'm way above my numbers, to be honest with you. But that is the goal. And I know that staying true while still going out and shaking hands, kissing babies, and then making sure that you're watching your business grow is key. Yeah,
I love it. Do you buy them? So you buy them coffee or buy them lunch or whatever it is?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Some realtors, they, you know, they're always too busy and they don't want to meet up, you know, and so, you know what, I'll take that. If I can get 5 minutes of your time between you going out and showing homes, I'll take it. You've got to be, when you're dealing with realtors, you've got to be on their schedule, just to be honest with you. You know, because they got their thing going on, you've got your thing going on, you've got to meet them in the middle. And really, and like I said, at times, you got to sometimes flex and be like, hey, you know what, if I got to get you on the way out the door, I'll get you on the way out the door. I'll talk in the front of the lobby of your brokerage house. I'll eat a mint, we'll talk story, and that's good. And I've actually gotten a few referrals by getting people on the way out. So.
See, and I don't think, and I want to ask you this, if that can be taught, because that do what it takes mentality is what I consistently hear from the new guys that are killing it, that are doing well like yourself is, no, I just did what it took to get their attention and to shake hands with them. Can you teach that? Or is it just some people have it, some don't?
Your personality is key. Your personality is key. I wish I could sit here and say, you know what, you can go to a seminar and you can learn how to be personable. I just don't believe that's the case. What I do believe is that every personality out there can be wrapped in a way that is shared with a realtor. And I kind of, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to get at here, but basically not everybody's going to be the funny guy or the silly guy like me. And you may be more of a serious guy, but that's okay. Use that. Understand when you go in that when you're dealing with a realtor, that's who you are. and come at it from that angle. And I think anybody can be successful in going out and meet. And I'm talking specifically, we're talking about meeting realtors. I'm not sitting here saying that that's the only way to get business by any means. It's not. I use Home Advisor, and I know a lot of eyeballs would go up, or eyebrows would go up on that one. I use, I'm very much into SEO, web page, so forth and so on. But with all of that, I know through that metrics page where my referrals are coming from. The vast majority of them are coming from realtors. So that aspect is what we're specifically diving into. And you can make your personality work. I think the key is maybe work on just being a little bit, if you have a hard time talking to people, just see, I can talk to a stranger in a grocery line. Not everybody can do that, and I get that. But if you can get enough social aspects to your personality, I think you can make it work for you. You can definitely, I think the key is here, what I'm trying to get at is get yourself in front of realtors.
Yeah. Yeah. And one tip I'll say to even new inspectors, if anyone are watching this, is practice with video. Like film yourself, do a video just like this, talk into it and get used to it, because it gets better with repetition. I think you hit on a good point of being yourself and knowing yourself and being self-aware. I think if anyone's genuine in themselves, I take myself back to when I was an agent. If someone's just comfortable with who they are and what they have to offer, I'm much more likely to like them, thus, and use them for a home inspection. So that's a great point.
Can I say something on that? And it specifically relates to why I think Spectora is seeing success. I've watched you guys. I've talked to you guys on the phone. I've been with you for, like I said, not the very beginning, but early on.
Pretty close.
And so I asked myself, why is Spectora seeing this success? Well, obviously you have a great software. Great. Okay. That's not the only thing. Why are you pulling people from other software platforms over to Spectora? It's not just going to be the software. It's you guys. You and Michael, and especially you, I've talked with you more than Michael. Your personalities are very, like you see on the video today. You're very just kind of laid back, personable, somewhat funny, kind of, just down to earth. That resonates with users. That it does. And so, showing that Spectora is seeing success because of their founders and how they relate to people and their personalities and so forth, it carries right over into the inspection world. I say, half of this, 40% is inspecting, 60% is how you communicate it.
Oh,
So,
I love that. I love that.
so it's important. And let me step into this, kind of go down a rabbit hole a little bit more. I'm in a market, like I said, a rural market. I don't even see 80%, I'd say 70 to 80% of my clients. I never even meet them.
Wow.
And that's different for people who are, a lot of these interviews, you have multi-inspector firms and they're in big cities and they're hiring people and everything. I'm this low military retiree out here in the middle of nowhere doing these inspections. So, and 80% of my inspections, I have nobody there. No agents, no sellers, no buyers, nobody. I'm just me in the home and doing warfare. And so that is a unique place. And there's a lot of other inspectors. There's tens of thousands of them that work in rural areas that you don't really hear from. They're not on the board, but yet they're killing it. They're doing their thing by themselves. And that's kind of who I'm talking to, because I'm not going to grow into this massive powerhouse. I'm not going to have double-digit growth. And I'm a guy who's happy, with between 20 and 40 inspections a month. I'm good with that. And so, and that's where I want to be. That's my comfort zone. I have a family. I have other businesses. And so I am a full-time inspector, but I do run other businesses. I'm a landlord and so forth. So, so I'm okay with that. And so, and I forgot what I was going to say again.
Hey, but that's a great sweet spot to be in, I think, in understanding that you went back to your goals of like, hey, this is the amount of inspections I want to do. What can I do to accomplish that? You referenced earlier kind of the good old boys club, and we're talking a lot about meeting agents and being personable and so on and so forth. How does a new inspector break into the good old boys club? Like, is it just being personable? Just, hey, you're going to like me at some point?
For me, I think one of the best things I did, and I'm seeing some success. I think I'm going to see more success, and I'll tell you why. Every local community has a chamber of commerce. Every local community has a board of realtors. Okay, so I'm actually a member of our local board of realtors, and I thought for sure when I joined, every other inspector would be on there. Oh, come to find out, I'm the only inspector that's an associate to that board of realtors.
It blows my mind.
It blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? I'm the only inspector? I mean, they have banks and lenders and everybody else that's associated with a real estate transaction. I'm the only inspector.
Amazing.
Active.
And you got to link back to your website, I'm guessing, right? They usually link to your site. Typically.
They do. They absolutely do. And I'm on theirs. And so amazing. I haven't joined the chamber, which I will. But I mean, what's the cost of to join the board of realtors here that every agent is a member of? $100 a year. Think about that. $100 a year, and you can be a member of the board of realtors. You go to their quarterly meetings, whatever their schedule is. You're shaking hands. You're meeting realtors. Plus, every realtor sees, hey, oh, Cochran Home Inspections has, co-sponsored this event or so forth and so on. It's a huge, huge local way to advertise yourself. And me telling you this is important because I was, like I said, and you were kind of shocked. Nobody's a member. And it's such an easy way to advertise yourself with a bunch of realtors who are going to send you referrals.
And the link that you get on the website is alone worth it. It's gold for SEO. So for those outside of Chris's market, look into that because it's worth it.
Thanks for that. Outside of my market.
So you mentioned not wanting to expand. Would you, if say neighboring towns and you kind of started to grow out that radius of where you cover, would it be of interest to you, or is it, hey, no, I'm good?
I am an entrepreneur at heart, 100%. Whenever I get into something, I think big, and I have to bring myself back down to reality. That's just the way I am. Not everybody's like that, and that's cool. For me, it's definitely, I would definitely entertain that. I would grow. I'm kind of, to be honest with you, Kevin, I'm kind of at a crossroads of where I'm just busy enough to where I can hardly even market myself. I just don't have time. And so I'm at that crossroads of, do I bring on another person, take a pay cut to support another person and or an office lady who can do marketing for me? Or do I stay at this level where I'm just good, but there's I have markets all around me that are wide open that I haven't gone to. And so they're within the hour circle, hour bubble that I created for myself. And because I know if I go and I start shaking hands and marketing myself,
you're going to win. Yeah.
So that for me is a very important question, because then you have to sit back and ask yourself, are you wanting to take that leap into more inspectors? Because I'm at saturation. I can't do any more at my current level. So that would be the next step. And yes, I have thought about it. Yes, I'm still on the fence. I just haven't decided if I'm going to go that route yet or not.
Yep. Managing people is a whole nother story.
Yes.
So for the new inspector, how did you get to 20 reviews? Do you ask people? Do you send them emails afterwards? Because those first couple are the hardest, right? And every new inspector, getting those first couple gets you on the map. But you've gotten to 20, which is amazing. Yeah,
and I will tell people, getting Google reviews is the most important thing you can do for your SEO. Here's why. I have literally had people call me and say, I went online, did a Google search. I'm not number one in my market. The other guy, actually my mentor, is number one. Great guy. He's not a part of the Facebook groups and all the other noise. He just does great inspections, and he's been doing it for about a year longer than I have. And so he got in first with his webpage. I'm number two. He's number one. He's got 2 reviews. I've got 20 reviews. And I've had people call me and literally say, I went online, did a search. I saw you had a bunch of stars and great reviews. I'm going with you. I'd like a home inspection.
It's not rocket science, right?
Yeah. So I'm telling people, it works. Having those reviews and having that, getting it close to the top of the list as you can on Google works. It will bring you some work. And here I'm going to plug Spectora. Look, I'm not here. I appreciate that you guys are interviewing me, and I'm honored that you would interview this guy from Northern Arkansas. But the bottom line is the reason I have gotten that many reviews is because of the automated responses that I send people through Spectora. I'm not using ISN. It's too costly for what I want. And I'm just not, it's just too much for what I need. I just needed basic admin software to run my business. And so that automated function that you guys offer with Spectora is enough to where when I'm done with the inspection and the email goes out and says, hey, here's your report, blah, blah, blah. And then about 4 days later, I have another automated email that goes out through Spectora. I don't do anything. That says, hey, if you like my services and you appreciate what I did, blah, 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 go ahead and go here. And I put a Google review and a Facebook review. And look, I have 20 Google reviews, but the last, I think, 8 reviews I've gotten have been all Facebook. So I've gotten a lot of Facebook reviews as well as Google. So, I'm probably with Yelp, Facebook, and Google, I'm probably at about 40 to 50 reviews in my first year total of all the review sites. So, that's huge. That's a pretty big turnaround time for, less than 200 inspections. So, but I'm growing rapidly.
That's huge though. And that just gives you more ammunition when you go into offices, when you go shake hands. That's something no one can argue with. And that's a differentiator, plain and simple. And you've worked to get there. So now anytime you go to an office, that could be a leading point. That could be a leading marketing tool. So congrats on that. That's amazing. I think sending those automated emails. Do you just send one or do you send 3?
I send all 3.
Okay.
I do one after saying thanks for the home inspection, 4 hours. Then I do one 4 days. And then I used to do one 30, but I come back to 2 weeks. And so just because I want 30 days is a long time and I still kind of want to be part of the transaction. And so I do, 4 hours, 4 days, 15 days. The 4 days and the 15 days both have just, the 4 day is more review centric. Like, hey, if you like here's my reviews. The 15 days, like, hey, if you didn't leave a review, if you wouldn't mind, and just a real quick blurb, and that's it. So,
but yeah, guys got to get over asking multiple times, because think of it as a consumer. When we get stuff, if it doesn't apply, we delete it or we move on. So you're not bugging people. Send multiple emails.
No, what's the worst they could do? Hit delete and move on with their lives. But if you get somebody that says, hey, I'm going to leave a review, now you're climbing up the ladder with these reviews, and they matter. They're important.
Yep. All right, let's get to the juicy stuff now. So let's talk data, changes in the industry. There's been consolidation, obviously. It's something obviously we keep an eye on or it's somewhat involved in. So what is your take on the future of A, the data that flows through the home inspection report and where it goes, and B, where you see it going in terms of helping the consumer, helping the agent? What's your general take on what's happened in the last 6 months? Because a lot has happened.
A lot has happened, and I haven't quote unquote stayed above the fray. I've been in the fray a little bit through the social media, Facebook sites and everything. So I've been aware of what's going on. I know about the Porch and ISN deal. I know about what Internachi's been doing. I know about the pre-listing inspections that have been a big deal. Pat Butler, I'll shout out his name because he's always on there doing videos. He's been pushing it. Sean out of Florida has been pushing pre-listing, and you got multiple companies now. Dave, Preston, they've done podcasts, they've done interviews about their pre-listing, and so now you got Internachi linking up with Dave Asselin. Is that his name?
Klima, Dave Klima and Preston? No.
The other guy that started the pre-listing inspection deal. But anyway,
what's your take on it? Yeah, it's got legs. Is it remains to be seen? Honestly, in my personal opinion, it's going to be a hard sell. I think what we have to do is take it at face value and realize that it'll never overtake buyers' inspections, never. But if you can get to 15 and 20% of market saturation with pre-listing inspections, you've got a pretty big market there. So I think people need to just kind of look at it and say, does it have legs and can it work? Well, you know what? We're not the only country doing inspections here. A lot of other countries. In other countries, they do it. Sometimes they do pre-listings. That's what they do, is pre-listing inspections. So it works. And look, pre-listings have been around for a long time. It's just really there was no platform to actually promote it, to push it, and so forth. You're now seeing that with some of the stuff that the guys in the market are creating. Zillow is now, and some of these bigger players in the market now have ways that you can put pre-listing inspections on. And I'm not promoting Zillow by any means, but I'm just saying that you are seeing a market shift that is starting to look at this and make it a reality. And so to answer your question directly, does it have legs? Yes. Are the legs strong and running? And is this going to be a huge deal? No. But you will have some level of penetration in the market. And like I said, when you're talking 15 to 20% in transactions, it's a lot of numbers. Yeah. Do you think realtors have a hesitation to do a pre-listing inspection? What's the big hurdles that you see?
Oh yeah, and you know what? Any inspector that sat down with realtors will tell you right out. Normally, they'll say flat out to your face, "I don't want to do this because then it's going to create a list that has to be disclosed." I mean, I've been told that personally by several inspectors
Yeah.
that like the idea and the concept of it and understand what it can do by putting the seller in the power versus the buyer having all the power. Um, but at the same time, you're inspecting a home that you know, it's going to now have to be disclosed. Every defect in that home is out there, and I just think that a lot of people are gamblers and they want to try to get it, sell a home that potentially there may be problems that they don't know about and don't want to know about, or even more nefariously, maybe they don't want stuff that they know about exposed. So it is a hard sell. That being said, anything can be pushed if there's enough people behind it, and you know, I guess teach it in a way that makes sense to realtors. I think there can be some legs for sure.
Yeah, because I think getting leads for realtors, that's always intriguing. I'm sure realtors always want more leads because there are more people searching on their own for a home that maybe would text a number or call a number, and then boom, the realtor gets both sides of the transaction. So I get that piece. That part makes sense. Are there other ways we should be thinking about growing the home inspection industry? Should you guys, you know, should we be thinking about ways you guys can do a 6-month checkup or a 1-year checkup? You know, has that been done before? I've heard it's been done, tried in the past and didn't have success. Are there other ways that you even envision this industry going?
You know, as far as home inspections, I think the annual maintenance inspections are a deal. They are a thing, and there are people that are successfully doing it. Once again, it goes back to it just hasn't caught on to the level because people don't want to pay anything to do any kind of maintenance on their home. So you really have to sell that, push that, and you really have to get on board yourself and believe in it before you would go out and be able to convince other people to put out money to come every year or every 2 years to check their home. But I think there's a market for that. And so when you say that, that kind of, you know, perks up my ears, because why are a lot of homes full of defects? Well, because people are not doing maintenance.
Yeah.
So if you can convince people to say, hey, let me come in your home, tell you the major defects that need to be dealt with, or i.e. maintenance issues, you know, a much slimmed down report, then there's a market for it. But you got to be on board, and I think you'd have to push it hard and try to convince others. So.
Yeah, because I'm always trying to think of ways to increase your guys' revenue, get more jobs, and just thinking of whether maybe it's a subscription-based thing. Maybe you guys charge X amount of dollars per year, and that person can have you come out up to 2 or 3 times after they have work done or something. I'm always just spitballing ideas like this because I think there's ways we can make things happen if it's beneficial for you guys. Yeah,
absolutely. And with software and the automation, you could play on that. You can say, hey, you know, send an email out 6 months later and say, hey, we did the inspection on your house. We're just wondering how it all went. How's your home? We offer an annual maintenance where our maintenance inspection. We'll come over and just tell you if there's anything going on. Yeah. So, I mean, that's actually a great idea. So I thought about doing something like that, but for me, and this could open up a whole nother can of worms in a second, I am pushing the ancillary services. I have seen a lot of people go that route, and I just think, you know, Drew has pushed this hard as far as offering packages. Find those services that make sense, package them, and sell them with the inspection. It's the upsell. It's what he talks about all the time, and I've taken that on board, and I'm doing it. You know, I don't know how many times. Remember, we're rural, so I would say almost every home I inspect is on septic. Almost, I would say at least half of the homes or more are on well. So I had people ask me, do you offer well water testing? No. Okay, so if I don't do it, guess what? Somebody else is. So I said, okay, I'm going to figure out the processes, and now I offer well water testing. My average inspection cost has just gone up.
Yeah,
by a lot. And so I do offer mold testing, and so, but I'm finding that in my market, well water testing, and I'm also getting qualified to do well inspections because that's a big deal, is a big moneymaker. And I've got the people on the phone for an inspection. Hey, do you need your water tested? Hey, do you want your well inspected? So those are the type of things. Know your market, know what services matter, and fold those into your businesses as ancillary services, you will absolutely upsell like you would not believe, and your average price per inspection will go through the roof. One other thing I want to say. So what did I take from Drew as far as him growing his business and these services? You can actually, if you're pushing hard and you're offering these services, you can lower the cost of your inspection because you know you're then going to upsell a service, so an additional service. So now you're in the market when somebody calls you and says, and they do it to me too, what's the cost of your inspection? Instead of just throwing out a price, take a step back and say, well, hey, let me tell you who I am. And after you do that and you've got the hook in, then you sync it, then you get them, you know, with these extra services. Do you need well? Do you want air quality testing? Do you want so forth? And you would be, I think inspectors are doing a disservice if they have the mindset that they're only going to do a home inspection because that's what they are. I think you really are leaving a lot of money on the table if you're not saying, I'm going to take a step back. You know what? I'll take a small cut on my inspection price that then is better sellable to a client, but then I'm going to upsell them a crap load of ancillary services that's going to actually be more than what I would have made on an inspection. So
yeah, it's a gamble on yourself. It's a gamble on your ability to reach them and give them information. You know, you could use those reminder emails to have an article on your site that helps upsell. So anytime before the inspection, maybe they're still getting information about mold, about radon, whatever. No, I love it. I think it's a great strategy. I know some inspectors scoff at lowering prices, but it's not accounting for the upsell. That's kind of a newer model, which I like. All right, let's get into Facebook forums, Facebook groups. Do you think Facebook is good, bad? Do you enjoy? Our group has seen significant growth. There's new people in there. What do you make of Facebook adding value to businesses and just in general?
When I got out of the military, retired, I was a lieutenant. So I was leading a crew of folks. And you get out and you go from being in a structured environment to a non-structured environment. You're dealing with civilians versus military. It's a totally different mindset. It's hard to even explain to people how different it is. All my military brothers, if they watch this, will know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why veterans struggle in the real world because, or I should say not in the real world, but in the civilian sector, because they just don't have that structure. Yep. So when I got out, I said, okay, I want to lead something. I want to be a part of something because that's what I came from. And now I'm just a landlord and, you know, a handyman and so forth. When Spectora came along, I said to myself, this is a young company and I want to be a part of it. I want to grow with it. I want to help it grow because I'm a member, I'm a believer. And so when I believe in something, you know, I'm going to be a pusher of it. You know, I've been on the Facebook groups and I've been beat up. You know, people will come on there and they'll ask, what new software? I'm a new inspector or I'm in the market. I don't like my old software. What would you recommend? So what do? Spectora.com. Runs your business, good software, so forth. And almost invariably, you're going to get people that will come in and just be like, you know, naysayers and beat you up. You're getting paid money. I have not gotten a dime from Spectora. I have not gotten anything from Spectora other than great software. I pay yearly like everybody else, and I'm glad to pay yearly because it's a service that I'm using that helps my business. But at the same time, like I said, for me, I wanted to grow with it. So I decided that I wanted to go on to Facebook, which is a great environment, to help my other, I call them, I think I coined the term Spectorians. So,
which we appreciate.
Yeah. So, for me, being able to go on there kind of filled a void. And it may sound silly to some people, but for me, it filled a void to where I can provide training and leadership for something that was gone when I left the military and I didn't really have in the civilian world. And so, you know, it kind of did two things. It kind of helped me grow with a young company that's trying to break in the market as I was as an inspector. But it also, I know it helped a lot of people. Just yesterday, I had somebody write me and say, hey, Chris, you know, I'm moving over from said software or other software, and I'm having a hard time with Spectora because I'm just getting the flow right because it's just different. And would you mind if you share your template? Not a problem. I sent him my template, which I've reworked over the year several times, and it really felt good to help him get a jump start. And the Facebook is the same way. You know, it's a platform that has allowed me to go on there and help other folks who are trying to break into a new software, which they may have to deprogram how they do it because it's different. Spectora is different. And so that is why I got involved. That is why I am a part of the Facebook group, and I will continue to be a part of that group. One other thing I will say about, I'm a part of, Inspector Brotherhood, Home Inspector. I mean, I'm like 5 or 6 other ones. You see a lot of negativity on there, too much, and it's a shame because we're all on the same train. We're all in the same boat together. We're trying to grow together. We're trying to learn. Not everybody knows everything. Don't leave your ego at the door. Everybody's a new inspector at one point. I mean, we're all new, and there's a lot of new people, and some people won't be in it a year from now. And so just help the people. Yeah, they may ask silly questions that they should know, but you know what? You didn't know it at one time either, and you had to learn it. So Just help your brothers. And that is why I loved Spectora's site, is because it has remained eminently professional. Okay. It's kind of like our own little brotherhood, and I like that. And I like the fact that the vast majority of people have stayed professional, helpful, courteous. And that's why I'm on that one more than anyone else, to be honest with you, because I know that if I go on there, if somebody asks for help or advice, they're going to get it. And they're not going to be beat down and made to feel, stupid about it. And so, yes, it is a helpful tool as long as it remains professional and it remains helpful.
Awesome. Love it. I want to ask you about this might be a little too deep for home inspectors for our community, but how do you mentally and physically balance family life versus everything you're getting into? I know a lot of new inspectors, as they get busier, there's that balance of family versus work. Me and Mike face it. I'm curious how you balance it all, and any tips for as you're ramping up and going out and meeting agents, for the new or experienced inspector. Just how do you balance it all?
I'm 40 years old having babies. Slap me, I know. I've got a 1.5 and a 2.5-year-old at home and an 11-year-old. And so I've got young kids, and me and my wife have only been married about 5 years. So we're still fairly newlyweds. So, it is important that I have family time. I've got young kids. I want to know them. One of the reasons I got out of the military was the fact that, doing deployments and standing up watches all hours of the day for every crisis known to mankind, it just got old, and so I didn't want to get out and then, be working 10, 12 hours a day. Yeah. So it goes back to what I originally said, those goals. Those goals are everything. You have to set a number that you're comfortable with, and then wrap your life around, are you going to stick with them? And if not, how are you going to manage? For me, I've obviously blown past my goals, which is a great thing. But I've also scaled back just a bit, like I said, on my marketing, because I'm comfortable where I'm at. So could I open up other markets? You betcha. I mean, I could hit some other towns in this area, and I know I'd grab realtors, and I'd be getting more inspections. So for me, I made the decision, and this is a decision every inspector has to make, especially when you start to get busy. Are you going to stick with your goals, and are you going to maintain that family time, or are you not? And are you going to do 2, 3, 4, whatever, however many inspections there are? Shameless plug for Spectora again, I know, but hey, you're Spectora, and this is what we're doing here. So it absolutely enables me to basically do the inspection on site. When I get back, I personally choose to do final edits. I like to do a final check dates, make sure everything's good. I view a full report, do a quick review, then I send it out. Usually anywhere from, I would say, 10 to 30 minutes, depending on the amount of defects. So is when some inspections, I literally walk away, it's done. I do the date check, final review, and I'm done in 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. So the software has enabled me, and this also goes back to what I said in the beginning. I chose software literally before I became a licensed inspector, because I knew that if you choose the right inspection software, it will make your life easier. And I hit the golden ring with this one, and it has come through for me and allowed me to spend less time writing reports and more time with my family. And like I said, it may sound like a shameless plug, but that's my reality. That's a fact. And, other people who are watching or going to watch this, they're watching because they're interested. They want to know maybe a little bit about home inspecting, but they're also want to know, can the software help me have more family time? Absolutely, 100%. As a matter of fact, a lot of your reviews that you'll read about Spectora talk about how the software has given back family time. So for me, I can tell you flat out that that's a true statement. And so I'm glad that I chose in the beginning to go down this route. I've not used other software. I'll caveat that. But I know what I'm doing now and how quickly I've gotten done after my inspections. And so choose the right software, choose your goals that's within the realm that you're comfortable with, stick with those goals. If you expand or grow, decide at that point the caveat, am I going to go to a multi-inspector firm and bring on employees, or am I not? For me, I'm at a point where I have chosen I don't want to go down that route because I just don't want to have any more employees. And that's okay. There's a lot of inspectors who will stay by themselves. So to answer your question, honestly, and it's the software.
Well, we appreciate that. That's the biggest compliment we can get, is saving you guys time, because we know you can either do more inspections or hang out with your family, or whatever else you choose to do. So thank you for that. Can inspectors email you if they have questions? Because every day I work with new inspectors. I talk to them that don't know the things that you know and that you've been through. I get the feeling you like mentoring or helping when you have time, obviously.
And that goes back to Facebook. That gives me an outlet to do mentoring. And I post regularly and help people as much as I can, because I like helping people. Everybody's coming, either starting new with Spectora or they're coming over from another software, and you literally have to deprogram your brain to use Spectora. It may sound silly, but it's true. It's just different on how it functions. And I always tell people, learn the flow of what works best. Spectora was written to do on-site inspections. It was not made to take a bunch of pictures and then go back and sit at your desktop and do a report. It was not designed at all for that. It was designed to get on the site, do your report, when you go back, or publish on site if you want to do that, or go back, do your final edits, and then publish quickly. And so I know that people coming over are going to need help. And so I think the sharing of the templates it's easy. The guy, he gave me his email he uses for Spectora. I put it in there and I send him my template in literally about 10 seconds. And so he has what I've worked on. Some people charge for it. I don't. I had to do my template modifications over the year anyways to make it quicker, better, faster. So I don't mind sharing, because you know what? Whatever. It helps somebody else. Now, would I share with somebody in my market? I don't think so. No.
Right. Exactly.
No. So it absolutely is. Mentoring is a big deal for me, and I enjoy it. So for anybody out there that is thinking about using Spectora or coming on board, my email is chris@CochranHomeInspections.com. Feel free to reach out to me, write me. You can write me on Messenger. You can hit me up on Facebook. And I'm willing to, I know Spectora pretty well. And so if you have information or questions, absolutely reach out to me.
Awesome. And I'll link to that stuff in the description as well, on YouTube. So no, and you exemplify what we want our community to be, and what we always envisioned it to be, is to have inspectors that are professional, helpful, humble, just like yourself. So new inspectors should be taking notes, because these are the things that go into growing and creating a solid business. I know you got to run here in a minute. Yeah. Anything else? Any parting shots? Anything you just want to get out there into the world?
I'm a very personable guy. And so I think my last parting shot is, stop the hate. Stop the hate. The role of Rodney King, and we all just get along. Yeah, we should. We're all inspectors. We're all in this together. These Facebooks get very visceral, and it's a shame. It's sad. I hate to see it. I've actually left Facebook groups because of the hate. People that hate over vendors, they hate over new inspectors, just the nastiness. Why don't we try to be positive? That's why I like, Pat Butler. I'm throwing his name out again, because he gets on and he just does these videos, because you can tell he just wants to help people. He just wants to throw out ways to make your business successful. We need more of those. We need more guys that are willing to throw themselves out there, younger guys, newer guys that are willing to step out and say, hey, this is how I broke out. This is what I'm doing in my business to be successful. This is how I can help you. Hey, you don't know that service panel or the gauges or the breakers or whatever it is, the defect, let me help you out with that, because there's thousands of components on any given inspection. And so that's what I would say. Let's get along. Let's help each other. And by the way, if you're in the market for good software, give Spectora a try. So
we appreciate that. Let's raise the profession, right? Because the more professional everyone is, the more everyone can charge, the more we're respected by agents. It just is good stuff. And so I think we have to start with that in the forums, online, and in person.
Absolutely. 100%, Kevin. And that's why I appreciate what you guys are doing, because that's where you come from. Let's help. Let's raise the bar. Let's be professional.
Right on, man. Thanks a ton. Again, I'll link to his website in the description, his email. Feel free to reach out with questions. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Appreciate you guys.